this city. Lord, heal this city. Lord, heal this city. Our journey in this text began with the elder prophet Elijah being taken up in the whirlwind. You remember, right? Chariot swung low, and the whirlwind came and took the elder prophet to heaven. And on the first night, we talked about it's my turn now. And on the first night, we looked at a very real picture of the generational gap between the elders and the young. And on the first night, we looked at the fact that we're on the heels of Black History Month, celebrating our history, and yet we came to the conclusion that a proper celebration of history is not right unless there is a future that we can reach forward to. And so that our Black history must have a Black future. And in order for us to have a Black future, we've got to do something about the generational gap in our community. We got to do something about the elders fighting the younger and the younger fighting the elder. And so we discovered in this text that there was a big difference between Elijah the elder and Elisha the younger. The elder had long hair and he was plain dressed, but the younger had a bald head and he came from a wealthy background. And we discovered that our young folk are not going to do everything the way we did. And we've got to give them the freedom to express themselves and the freedom to be able to express themselves the way they do in their generation. But we've also discovered that the younger has got to submit themselves to the elder. We saw how Elijah tutored and mentored the younger prophet, and he stayed by his elder prophet's side, and he wasn't ready for 4 chapters of, we discovered he was on the sideline, but he was being mentored by the elder prophet. We discovered that the younger has to submit to the elder. We discovered that sometimes you got to take another shot. Isn't that right? The Bible says the young prophet struck the water and nothing happened. But then he called on the God of Elijah and struck the water the second time. And we said that when your time comes, you've got to remember that you can't give up just because you failed one time. And you can't give up just because you made some mistakes. But sometimes you got to take another shot. Isn't that right? The Bible says, we discovered lastly on that first night that we must be empowered by the Spirit of God. That first night we said that you put a priority on a lot of things, but make sure that you're putting the priority on your relationship with God. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on now. Then on the last night we saw on last night how he traveled from across the Jordan River, and the sons of the prophet saw the young prophet, and as he crossed into Jericho, we discovered last night the recipe for a miserable life. That's what we discovered last night, the recipe for a miserable life. And we saw on last night that if you want to have a miserable life, then you just keep on assuming the worst about everything. We talked about negative Nancy's. We talked about the gossipers. We talked about how some folk look at other people, and when they go through the struggles in their life, they always think it's because of their sin. We discovered that if you want to have a miserable life, not only assume the worst, but if you want to have a miserable life, then you ignore the wisdom you've been given. Isn't that right? We discovered last night that if you want to have a miserable life, then you keep wasting your life on meaningless pursuits. So on tonight, the story continues. Last night we saw the sons of the prophet come to Elijah and say to Elijah, we're going to go and look for the elder prophet, because they thought in their messed up mind that somehow God's judgment had came down upon the elder prophet. And they say, we're going to send 50 strong men to look for him. And those 50 strong men wasted their strength on a meaningless pursuit. They spent 3 days looking for somebody. When the younger prophet told them it's a vain and a meaningless pursuit, but they spent time and strength on something that produced no fruit. So on tonight, they're still in Jericho. Somebody say Jericho. They're still in Jericho on tonight. And when they come, they say to the prophet, who has now assumed the role of leadership, they say to the prophet, this city of Jericho, it has been rebuilt.
Well, talk sense.
It's a beautiful city. It's a blessed city. But the waters in this city is bad. And the waters are so bad that anyone who drinks of the waters, they die. And every time we try to produce something from the ground, it produces fruit, but the fruit is bad. Or the fruit doesn't ripe all the way. Something is wrong. It's a good city.
Yeah.
But the water is bad. Can I tell you what that really says to me? That just in the parentheses, that really says to me that it's not about where you're located. Did you understand what I'm saying? That your location is not your problem. Because for many of us, we make excuses about where we're born, the side of town that we're born in, the socioeconomic statuses that we're born in. But can I tell you, you can be in a good situation and still have bad water. And if that's true, the opposite must be true as well. That society can say that you're born in a bad situation, but you can produce good water. I wonder, have I got a witness? Anybody here ever been counted out? Anybody ever been told that you wasn't going to make it? But with God on your side, I can produce good water. I want to tell someone on tonight.
Come on, tell us.
That if you see it, the very first place that the prophet goes to after crossing the Jordan River is Jericho. I hope you didn't miss it. And you might have missed it if you flunked out of Sunday school. But if you've been in Sunday school, then that made sense to you. That the first place the prophet goes after crossing the Jordan River is into Jericho. And that ought to sound familiar to somebody, because if you turn over to the beginning of Joshua and the children of Israel's story, they crossed the Jordan River, and the first place they entered was this problematic city of Jericho. And all I'm trying to tell somebody is all of us are going to have our Jerichos in our lives. When the children of Israel came to Jericho, there was walls that needed to come down. When the prophet enters Jericho, there is water that needs to be healed. All of us have our Jerichos. I want to tell somebody that Oakdale is a Jericho. I want to tell somebody that Lake Charles is a Jericho.
All right.
But I want to tell somebody further that with God's help, our cities can be healed. Do you really believe that tonight? And so really, family, listen to me. On tonight, young people, listen to me. On tonight, what I'm really asking from you is to help me. I'm asking you to understand who God has created you to be. I'm asking you to understand the anointing of God that is upon your life. And what I'm trying to tell you is that you are in this church on tonight for a reason, because God wants to use everybody up in here to heal this city. Do you really believe it tonight? Now, if you don't believe it, don't leave out the door. You got my permission. Put your Hudson Baptist finger up and don't leave out. But if you're showing up here tonight, believe that God can heal this city, can heal your community, can heal your home. Then come on, help me give God praise right now. We believe, God, that you can heal the city.
You're preaching now. You're preaching, man.
I want to show you something in the text.
Show it, Pastor.
I just want to give you 3 little power words from this text.
Well, all right.
3 power words. Here's the first word. The first word is hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first word is hope. Look at the text. Look at the text. The text says that the men of the city came to Elisha, and listen to what they said. Notice the situation of the city.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go in the reverse. The water is bad.
Yeah.
People are dying from drinking the water. The ground can produce no fruit. And yet, in the midst of all of that, they say, it's a good situation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what they're saying? They're saying that there is potential in this city. They're saying that all is not lost in this city. And I'm trying to tell somebody here today, don't let CNN and MSNBC, don't let them fool you and make you think, woe is me. There is still hope. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is still potential. Let me tell you something. Sometimes young people, you wonder why you go through so much at a young age. I want to tell you why. Because the enemy is trying to steal your hope while you're young. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you need hope. Somebody say hope. Hope. Do you understand listen to how Desmond Tutu says it. Desmond Tutu says hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness.
My Lord, my Lord.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And listen, I know you go to school, sometimes you get bullied, you get picked on, isn't that right? But there is still hope. You see how you doing? Y'all looking around like, I don't know your business. I promise you I don't know your business. But God does.
Yes, he does.
And I want to tell you that there is still hope despite what you're facing, despite the darkness. Hope sees the light. And the worst thing that can happen to us is to enter a state of hopelessness. See, it's hopeless folk that sell dope. When you get hopeless and you think there's no way out, then you'll sell dope to your own people. When you get hopeless and you think there's no way out, you'll kidnap a little girl and sell her into sex trafficking. I'm trying to tell you gotta maintain your hope. The way you maintain your hope is the psalmist said, you gotta look up to the hills, beyond the hills from where your help comes from. Because sometimes when you're just looking at the hill, it'll look hopeless. Sometimes when you're just looking at what's around you, it'll be hopeless. But is there a young person in here tonight that can say, I'm not too young to put my faith in God. I'm not too young to trust God. I tell God, thank you for my wife's testimony.
Yes, sir.
My wife's testimony is not like mine. See, God had to put me through some bumps and bruises. I had to hit my head a couple times because I was foolish. But I thank God for my wife's testimony of trusting God since she was young. And having the testimony of avoiding something. Because she trusted God. Can I tell you, every testimony is not a testimony of bumps and bruises. Some testimony is he kept me. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? There are some things that God can keep you from. Hello, somebody. The first word is hope. All right. Well, hope believes that you will get through. Hope believes that you will get through it.
Yes, sir.
Hope remembers the times that God brought you through.
My Lord. Yeah.
Don't get in this situation and start thinking that this situation is somehow bigger than God is.
Come on, sir.
But the men of the city, they went to the prophet Elijah and said, there's bad water. And the other ground is barren. But it's a good situation. If God is going to heal our city, then we, the people of God, have got to still have hope. How dare we call ourselves the sons and daughters of God and be full of despair? How dare we call ourselves the sons and daughters of God and the community walks through the doors of the church and they get more depressed by being around Christian folk than they do in the streets? If God is going to heal this city, then we've got to have hope. We've got to place our hope in God. That all is not lost. Why? Because my president is not the one that's seated on the throne. Yeah, your president might be Barack Obama, but my president is King Jesus. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? He ain't get elected there. He's sovereign, and he's always there. Supreme Court to ratify what he's done, or no Congress or Senate to approve or veto what he's done. When he says, let there be, there will be. God says you're blessed, family. Ain't no devil in hell can make you unblessed, if that's a word. The first word is hope.
Yes.
The second word is heart.
Hard.
All right.
All right.
Let's see.
The second word is heart.
Come on, talk to us.
Can you see him? Can you see him right there? They go to the prophet and they say, man, it's a bad situation. The water is bad.
Well.
The prophet says, bring me a new bowl. Bring me some salt. Now watch what it says next. It says, he goes to the source of the water. Did you see it? Did you miss it? Did you read too fast? Look, he says he goes to the source, or he goes to the spring, or to the source of the water. You want to know why he did that? Because if he would have just treated the water that was at the riverbank, then the water would have still been bad. But he went to the source. He went to the place where the poison, the place where the toxin was. And when he got to the source of the matter, then the rest of the water can be healed. And I'm trying to tell somebody here today that we can keep pointing at the symptoms in our community. And our community ain't ever going to be healed. But I want to tell you, the problem is not the drugs. The problem is not the alcohol. The problem is not single parent home. That ain't the problem. The problem is our hearts. The problem is not racism. The problem is the heart. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
I see you.
I know you want to look. You want a three-point plan for how to get out of debt. But perhaps debt ain't your problem. Perhaps your heart is the problem. You want to heal this city? You want to heal this city? I dare you to start praying for folk for real. You want to heal this city? I dare you to stop cussing back and start praying for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the problem is our hearts.
Talk to us.
There's a difference. There's a difference
Yes, sir.
between sources and symptoms.
Yes.
All right. Come on.
And if we're going to heal this city, family,
Well,
we've got to get to the source.
amen.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And the source is our hearts.
Yes.
And so then our prayer must be not just, Lord, touch their hearts,
What?
but our prayer must be, Lord, touch my heart. You want to heal this city? I dare you for real to ask God to touch your heart. Because when God touches your heart, then you won't be all about making money for yourself, but you'll try to figure out a way to bless somebody else too. If God touches your heart, then you'll stop bullying folk when you go to school and talking about folk and judging them based on what they got on. If God touches your heart, then you will stop running to the gang for family. You will stop running to the gang for community and realize you're a community all by yourself. You, God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. That's a community. And you don't need bruh on the block putting something in your hand for you to go do his dirt for him. Did you hear me what I'm trying to tell you? No, you let him carry his own dope. You don't go steal for somebody or rob for somebody. No, you let them do that mess themselves. Because you know God created you to be better than that. And if you don't know, sure enough, you ought to be praying, Lord, touch my heart, Jesus. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? There's a sister in here tonight. You think you need a fix in order to make it through the next day. How have you allowed life to get that bad? How have you taken your eyes off of God for so long that you think you need to pop pills or get high in order to make it another 24 hours? Can I tell you, the God that I serve created the 24 hours, and he'll help you get through it if you will cry out to him and say, Lord, touch my heart, Jesus. Did you hear me what I said? Lord, touch my heart, God. Can I tell tell you he'll take an appetite from you? Can I tell you the things that you thought you needed? God will take it from you. If you will ask him to touch your heart. But you gotta be real with him on the night. Tired of the fake taking, tired of the fooling around, tired of playing church, but be real with God and say, Lord, touch my heart. Can I tell you, is there one witness in here tonight that if you ask him to touch your heart, he will? He'll do it. I'm trying to tell you, he'll do it if you ask him. He'll do it if you ask him. He'll make you over again. He'll make you over again if you ask him. You want to know how I know? Because you're looking at me. You want to know how I know? Because he did it for me. And if he did it for me, the Bible tells me he's no respecter of person. And if he did it for one, he'll do it for another. Hello, somebody. Somebody say hope. Y'all not talking to me. Somebody say hope. Now somebody say heart. The heart of the matter is that our heart is what's the matter.
I heard you. Yeah, brother.
And if we will ask God to touch our hearts, just let me, because you don't believe me. You don't believe me. You don't believe me. I was sitting on a panel the other day, a church panel about church in 2020. I was moderating a church panel, and it was a multi-racial church panel, right? Blacks and white, younger and elder, male and female. And there was a white man from Alabama on that panel. And you know what he said to me? I used to be racist. See, if you really knew the God that you served, then you would have shouted better than that. But you know what he said? I realized that the problem wasn't in y'all, the problem was in me. And the Lord touched my heart. Hello, somebody. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And he went from being racist to realizing that God created all me. And I'm trying to tell you, if God can do it for him, he'll do it for you. First word is hope. I'm finished, y'all. The second word is heart. The third word is help. I'm going to need all y'all to say what Reverend Smith just said. Like, give me that third. Y'all go ahead and say it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Give me that third. I better make you want to preach, Reverend. If nobody else say amen, I got my road dog with me, man. You understand what I'm saying? The last word is help. Somebody say help. Now you gotta see this in the text. You gotta see this in the text. Watch what the text says. The text says that the sons of the prophet, they assess the situation and they go to Elisha. They go to Elisha for help. And here's the help that Elisha gives. Here's what he says. He says, bring me a new bowl. And with that bowl, put some salt in it. He goes to the source, right? And he pours in the salt directly into the source of the problem. And I'm trying to tell you, God trying to speak to somebody right there. He's trying to tell somebody where our help comes from, because if you see, first of all, if you see there is an empty vessel. Do y'all see the empty vessel? Did y'all see the empty vessel? He says, bring me a new vessel. A vessel, a bowl that didn't have anything in it. Bring me a new bowl, right? It is a bowl that's waiting for something to be put in it. It is a bowl that's waiting to be used. It is a bowl that is just sitting on the shelf. And he's looking at the owner and saying, if you need somebody, I'm available. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And I'm trying to speak to somebody right now. I'm trying to tell you that if you want God to use you, God will use you. But you've got to have a spirit that says, Lord, I'm available to you. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? If you make yourself available, God will use you. The Bible tells me that Noah was a drunk and you don't think God will use you? Jacob was a liar. He'll use you if he'll use Jacob. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? God needs folk that's available. Somebody say available. See, here's the problem. The problem is Negro folk love to complain about the problem. But we don't make ourselves available for the solution. Do you understand what I'm saying? Somebody say, keep moving, Reverend. You're being messy. You're being messy. Watch what the text says. The text says, not only was it an empty vessel, but they put salt in the vessel. Now watch this, because this is going to bless you. Because if you move to the New Testament, Jesus tells us, Reverend Smith, what salt is. Didn't he? He says, you are the salt of the earth. Did you see it? He says, you are the salt of the earth. And you know what God wants to do? God wants to take you with your salty self and sprinkle you in Odell. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're talking about your school bag. Well, God has sprinkled you in that school. You're talking about your community bag. Well, God has taken you and He sprinkled you in that community. So stop complaining about your family, bro. Stop complaining about your marriage. And realize that God has sprinkled you in that joint. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Somebody say, sprinkle me, Jesus. You can have an E40 spirit, right? Sprinkle me, right? What God should sprinkle you. I know them kids bad, man. I know them kids giving you all kinds of problems, but that's the reason why God made you their mama. That's the reason why you live there. Somebody say, I'm a pappy boss. Why? Because He wants to. Somebody say, sprinkle me, Lord. They're not talking to me. Say, sprinkle me, Lord. I'm finished, y'all. I'm finished. Listen to it. Listen to it. Watch this. Because this is going to bless you. Watch this, because this is going to bless you. He takes the salt and He pours it in the source. And here's what I'm trying to tell you. Listen to me. I'm trying to tell you that you were anointed for this.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to tell you that you're alive for this moment.
Yes, sir.
What a beautiful time to be alive. What a wonderful time to be alive. So many people searching for purpose. So many people searching for meaning in life. Well, if you got problems, you got meaning. If you got problems around you, then you got purpose. Because it's God sending you to that problem. God ain't trying to send somebody a plan or a manuscript. God is sending you. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And all I'm trying to tell you is God wants you to get involved. Odell, are you hearing me? A Christian church in Odell, are you hearing me? God says, stop complaining about what's happening on the block and be the church on the block. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? It's time to get involved. Is there anybody here that can look at the problems around you and say, Lord, I'll do something about it? If you need anybody, Lord, then Lord, use me. Oh God, to my folks from Lake Charles, let's stop complaining about the violence. Let's stop complaining about the death and murder, and let's do something about it. Let's be God's voice in the streets. We can't just expect them to come to church. The church has got to go to them. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? You can't just expect them to come to church with you. You gotta talk to them, pray for them at school. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Because God has placed you there for a reason. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? That's the kind of God that we serve. Can you see God? He's looking at us and He sees us in our sins. Can you see that? He sees the source of the problem, and the source of the problem is my sins. But God didn't punish me. God didn't point His finger. God didn't sit up in heaven and point down to earth. You want to know what God did? He got involved. He poured Himself. He sprinkled Himself in the source of my situation. Can you see my Jesus? Can you see Him on the cross? They hung Him high. They stretched Him wide. He hung His head in the locks of He stayed there all night, Friday night, day and night, Saturday night. But Sunday morning, he got up with all power. How much power? 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 All power. Power to heal hell devil. Power to heal late George. Power to heal the high school. Power to heal the elementary. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? Say know he's alright. I said, ain't he alright? Say yeah. I know he's alright. Can I ask you three questions? Can I ask you three questions? Question number one, do you know him? I said, do you know him? Question number two, have you tried him? Have you tried him? Well, here's the last question. Ain't he alright? Ain't he alright? Yes! Yeah! Lord, heal this city. Would you just help me close the message right there? I'm finished now, y'all. Help me close the message right there. Come on, help me cry out to God. Lord, heal this city. Lord, heal this city, God. Lord, heal this city, God. Lord, heal this city. Do you receive the word tonight? Do you receive the word tonight? My young people, come to the altar. Come to the altar.